Surrounded by the rugged elevations of the soaring Pyrenees Mountains and lined with narrow streets, alleys, and corner stores, the Spanish village of La Seu d'Urgell is a favorite stop among whitewater slalom racers. Host to the 1992 Olympic whitewater competition, the Parc del Segre is 350 meters of non-stop, power-packed whitewater rapids. So sit back and enjoy the best canoeists and kayakers in the world going for gold. It's Whitewater Slalom World Cup action from La Seu d'Urgell, Spain.
En esta segunda competición internacional nosotros tenemos aquí 38.
In this second international competition, we have 38 federations and 270 paddlers.
Es muy variado, yo creo que
many different countries. I think we have all 5 continents. Normally there's a group of 6 or 7 countries that leads all the competition. These are the ones that have the most chances to get the medals. Then there's a second group of 25 that are progressing and developing quite a lot of slalom activity. Finally, we have the group of countries that are developing the practice of slalom.
Y después pues hay otros países que están justo en desarrollo. La tradición aquí en Seu d'Urgell del piragüismo de slalom empieza en el año 1964.
The slalom tradition in this village started in 1964 with the foundation of the local team.
Pronto vamos a hacer los 50 años de club.
Our team is soon going to be 50 years old.
Se hizo una primera final de
In 1980, we hosted the first European Cup final event, and from that moment on, we kept organizing many international events until the Olympic Games in 1992.
Culminando con los Juegos Olímpicos de Barcelona en el año 1992. Desde el 92 hasta ahora,
from that year on until now, this Olympic venue has been a huge success in terms of tourism and leisure, and it's helped a lot in developing the practice of whitewater slalom in Spain, and particularly the organization of international competitions.
En España y muy particularmente para acoger pruebas.
The International Federation has organized 10 World Cups, 2 World Championships from 1992 until today.
Campeonatos del mundo entre el 1992 y ahora mismo.
And we're getting ready to start the World Cup men's singles canoe, the field anchored by reigning world champion Tony Estanguet from France and 2 Spanish C1s at the end. Dropping in at the top of the course is Ender Elosegui from Spain. In these men's singles canoes, the athletes are kneeling on 2 knees and using a one-bladed paddle to propel themselves through the water, and Elosegui propelling himself very nicely through that upstream gate on the tail of his boat. The rules in slalom, upstream through the red poles, like that one right there at Hulk Falls, and downstream around the green poles. Be as fast as you can without touching the poles. 2 seconds for a touch, 50 seconds for a miss. No misses for Anders Elosegui. Big sprint to the finish. A good way to start the World Cup for Anders Elosegui from Spain. Most anticipated boater in the field today, the reigning world champion from France, Tony Estanguet, a winner of 2 Olympic gold medals, 2000 in Australia, 2004 in Greece. Tony, a very tall paddler with great reach, very smooth, has excellent control of his edges, and lives not too far away, just across the border in southern France in the city of Pau. Here comes Tony working into the upstream at Hulk Falls, spinning the boat around that red pole, catches an edge and getting washed a little bit low in the eddy on the far side. He'll really have to make up some time here. Tony keeping that paddle out in front of him, pivoting through the last up on his sprint to the finish. And Tony slips into the lead. A good start to the World Cup for Tony Estanguet. Now at the top of the course, one of the most popular athletes on the slalom circuit, Stanislav Ježek from the Czech Republic. Stan, a very tall paddler, gets incredibly good reach out the front of his boat. Great upstream in the eddy at Sticky Fingers. Has extremely good flexibility. He can really contort his body to get upstreams like that. Pops right in and out in one stroke. He's got some great momentum moving into the middle section of the course. This section requires a lot of precision. You want to keep the boat in just the right place, getting as much help from the water as possible. Very nicely through the offset downstream gates, slides right into the up. It's got some good momentum moving into the bottom part of the course now. That blade is way out in front of the boat, moving through the waves. And a few hard strokes moving into the biggest drop in the course. Hulk Falls right in and out. One of the highest entries into that up we've seen all day. Perfect crossing. Wow, what a fast double upstream moves. He's got a little bit of room to play with at the bottom of the course, but not stand. I've never seen him pull this hard. One last upstream and he is out. He knows he's got a great run going to the finish. And Stan Ježek smashes the lead by almost 4 seconds.
Myslím si, že bych se na tuhle trať připravil nějak lépe než v Praze.
I know the race in Prague much better than this one, but I think I was lucky. It seems that there were some gates that were placed well for me, and I made no mistakes. I had a lot of chances today.
Nakonec neudělal chybu, tak povedli se mi, získal jsem nějaký čas a to myslím, že dneska rozhodlo.
So it's Ježek from Czech Republic taking the gold, Estanguet from France the silver, and Elosegui from Spain the bronze. Now ready for the men's kayak field here at the World Cup in Parc del Segre. The field is headlined by world champion Peter Kauser. And here is Slovenia's Peter Kauser, who would love nothing more than to repeat his performance of last year's World Championship on this very course where he won the gold medal. Peter is that perfect blend of strength, balance, and finesse when he paddles. Nice upstream gate in the middle of the course. In these kayaks, the athletes are seated with their feet in front of them, 2 blades on either side of the boat. Upstream on the red poles, down on the green. Peter making nice work of the double upstream at Hulk Falls. One final upstream and a sprint to the finish. Peter Kauser has put himself in a good position for a medal. Dropping in at the top of the course, Switzerland's Michael Kurt was on the podium last week in Prague. Here in Parc del Segre, setting up his first up, head on the back deck, great first upstream. Now in the middle of the course, Kurt just right on each pole, doesn't want to give up an inch, looking for the shortest possible point to the finish line. He's picked up a 2-second penalty when you paddle this close to the gates. You increase your chances of doing that. He is right on line at Hulk Falls though, paddling very fast. One last upstream, sprint to the finish. In a good position for the podium here in Spain. Italy's Daniel Momenti making his way through the very top of the course here in Parc del Segre. Jumps into the eddy below Sticky Fingers. Nice upstream gate. Daniel, one of the most powerful paddlers on the circuit. The boat is so responsive to every stroke. Now as he moves into the middle section of the course, he is paddling like someone who's running late for school. Quick strokes, hard strokes, any kind of strokes that will get him to the finish line faster. Momenti, after last week, said he felt like he had something to prove, wants to win this World Cup. Didn't paddle as well as he would have liked to on this course last year at the World Championships. Not thinking about that now, and he is paddling very well as he approaches the biggest drop on the course. Hulk Falls, jumps into the eddy. Big sweeping stroke that just sends his boat right across to the other side. One of the best moves we've seen here all day long. A couple of tricky offset downstream gates, on his way to the last upstream gate. Big turn, sweep out on his final sprint to the finish. Can Momenti do it? Momenti into the lead. Gold medal for Daniel Momenti. It is imperative that I finish in the top 5 in Germany because it's the final of the World Cup and I'm currently in good shape. I think I will do a good competition. So it's Italy's Momenti taking the gold, Switzerland's Kurt the silver, and Slovenia's Kauser the bronze. Now getting ready for the women's singles canoe class. In their first year being recognized as a full medal sport, the 10 best women in the world ready to go here in the final at the World Cup in Spain. Slovakia's Jana Dukatova jumping into the eddy at sticky fingers, pushes off the wall, gets her boat back into the current. Jana, one of the most athletic women on the circuit, very decorated women's kayak, winner of gold medals in World Cup races in the kayak, here in the women's canoe. Jana's got great reach, good flexibility, and good power as she jumps her boat into the eddy at Hulk Falls, fighting to get into the eddy where she can pull the boat upstream. She prepares for the cross, catches a little bit of water on the back edge of the boat, pushes her downstream, but doing a nice job of keeping the momentum going. One final upstream, back out into the current, sprint to the finish. Good podium position for Jana Dukatova. Australia's Jessica Fox paddling very nicely through the top of the course, slingshotting through the upstream at sticky fingers, putting her boat in the middle of the current where it can gain a lot of speed, moving into the upstream high and tight, making easy work of the top section of the course. Right there, switching paddles to the other side of the boat. It takes a very adaptable, very intelligent athlete to pull off the switching, which Jessica does very, very well. She works very hard at the women's canoeing, is also racing here today in the women's kayak. Jessica comes from a very decorated paddling family. Her father, Richard, a multi-time world champion in men's kayak. Her mom, Miriam, a multi-time world champion in the women's kayak. And Jessica paddling very well, moving towards the biggest drop on the course, Hulk Falls, a couple of quick strokes, and she is ready to launch her boat right into the eddy, very deep where she can keep the boat speed moving. One of the best moves we've seen all day, men or women. Super cross. She's got so much speed moving. She's picked up a 2-second penalty for touching a gate. You want to stay clean. Oh, her bow pops up and takes another touch. She's paddling very quickly, but she's got 4 seconds in penalties. This is going to be very close. Trying to get her first gold medal in a World Cup race onto the sprint to the finish. Can she do it? Can she knock off Dukatova? Yes, Jessica Fox has her first gold medal in a World Cup.
It's a really good race, and there's a lot of tough competition out there in the C1 women now, so it was a really good race. Well, that run I improved a lot from my semi-final, and I think I tried to use the water a lot more and thought about the keystrokes that I had to use, so I all went to plan, which is good.
So it's Australia's Fox taking the gold, Slovakia's Dukatova the silver, and Australia's Guinea taking the bronze.
Well, there are two different things. First is the participation is high level, competing because in this situation this year we have crisis, but the level is around 40 countries competing in the World Cup. Is very good. We have some problem in the first World Cup in Vichy because there are a lot of water. This year is very difficult for us because many problem with the water in many World Cup and the World Championships. And the second in Szeged is very good. The organization and at the level of the countries is the same in Duisburg. Only perhaps we need to modify for the next year is the program. We need only one standard program for all the World Cup the same, similar to slalom, because it's not good a different World Cup, different program, because in terms of television and in terms of preparing the teams, it's much better. This is my proposal for the next year, only one program for all the 3 World Cups. It's more than my expectation because it's competing about here, for example, in La Seu, the second World Cup, 38 countries, and it's the first time it's competing in our developed countries in Asia, because we had one coach full work in Asia for developed slalom. There are 8 countries competing here in the World Cup. I compete in the same the next week in Augsburg in Germany. For this, the level is good, a high level, and I'm very happy for this event because the three course venues, Prague, La Seu, Urgell, and Augsburg is a high level, not have any problem for competition. To me, there are different levels. In C1 women in slalom, a high level. I think it's very good because I understand this category, because canoe is our modalities only is for men. It don't have future in the Olympic game because one modality in the Olympic game is necessary women and men. This is one we decided the board decided the last year is including this modality in men and women to develop in the World Championships. I hope in Poland in the next World Championship the same level, but here is competing 20 athletes, 20 ladies for the 10 countries is more than my expectation.
Looking at the start list for the final here at the World Cup in La Seu d'Urgell, Parc del Segre, the 10 best doubles canoe ready to start. Dropping in at the top of the course from Germany, Becker and Hens. Like the singles canoe, these men are kneeling on 2 knees. They use one-bladed paddles. The idea here is to try to synchronize the strokes as best you can. The better you do that, the better the boat moves. The Germans doing a nice job here, putting the boat in perfect position into the upstream in the middle of the course. Same rules apply. 2 seconds if you touch a gate, 50 seconds if you miss. A great jump into the biggest drop on the course, Hulk Falls. A nice cross. Nice high and tight on the double ups. Moving into the last upstream on the course. Looks like a clean run for the Germans. Sprint to the finish. And a good position for the podium. It never hurts when you and your canoe partner have been paddling together for a couple of decades. And that is the case with this Czech team of Wolf and Stepanek, a very decorated team. Olympic silver medalists in Beijing, one of the top teams in the world. When you've been paddling together as long as Wolf and Stepanek have, you can just read each other's thoughts, you can feel each other's power. This is a team that wants to win a medal one more time at the Olympic Games in London. First things first, the World Cup here in Spain, they're working together very nicely in the double up at Hulk Falls. Really reaching together, synchronizing together on the sprint to the finish line. A good race for the Czechs. If any boat in this World Cup race has a fire burning in the belly, it would be this team. Ladislav and Peter Skantar from Slovakia, teammates of the reigning Olympic champion, Peter and Pavel Hochschorner. These guys desperately want to knock off the Hochschorners. And they bring a very different style to the doubles canoe. A very light, quick, and attacking style, making nice work through the upstream, the top of the course, moving the blades very quickly through the water. They don't wait for the water to work for them. They just get the paddles in the water and get them up to warp speed as quickly as possible. The Slovakian team has a great tradition of winning gold medals. Out of 4 categories at the Beijing Olympics, they took gold in 3 of them. In London, the Skantar brothers would love to be in the center of that podium. Now as they get a couple of quick strokes, working towards the biggest drop on the course, Hulk Falls, setting up the upstream, jumping into the eddy, nice and deep, quick, nice blast across Hulk Falls to the other side. They've got a great run going, flat boat, and they've got the high stroke rate going. Down around the green poles, one upstream to go. Big pivot turn, pushing off the wall, on the sprint to the finish. Quick strokes. And they cross the finish line. In first place, that's a gold medal for Peter and Ladislav Skantar. So it's Skantar and Skantar from Slovakia taking the gold. Volt Stepanek from the Czech Republic the silver, and Becker Hens from Germany take the bronze. Now it's time for the women's kayak. This field headlined by reigning Olympic champion Elena Koliska from Slovak Republic. Dropping in first at the top of the course from Great Britain is Fiona Penny, coming off a medal from last week's World Cup in Prague. These women's kayak, just like the men's kayak, are seated with their feet in front of them using a two-bladed paddle upstream around the red poles, doing the upstream at the bottom of the Hulk Falls very nicely. Nice turn on the far side of the Hulk Falls, moving down towards the sprint. Good run in the World Cup for Fiona Penny. Getting our first look at Elena Koliska from Slovakia, the Olympic champion from the Beijing Olympic Games, also Olympic champion from Athens, Greece too. Sliding her boat right into that upstream gate on the right side of the river. Elena brings a lot of power to her paddling. Jumps into the eddy at Hulk Falls, big sweep stroke out, ready to jet across. Just catches a little bit of water on the stern of her boat, but she's got to keep the mistakes behind her. On her sprint to the finish, good to see Elena Koliska racing in the World Cup finals. Dropping in at the top of the course, Mylene Chirot from Spain. Around the rocks at the top of the course, gliding through the eddy and back into the current on the other side. Mylene trying to get into a good groove at the top of the course, into the upstream at the rapid the athletes call sticky fingers. A few quick strokes to get the boat back up to speed, into the upstream, in and out on one stroke. Mylene, a member of the Spanish team that lives and trains on this course, knows every inch of the water. The idea through this section of the course is to really put the boat in the middle of the current where the water can do the most amount of work for you. Great paddling by the Spaniard through the middle of the course into the upstream, very soft style, saving some energy for the bottom of the course. The fans cheering her on, her athletes and teammates running her down the course, giving her a little bit of extra momentum. Now beginning to pick up the stroke rate and moving into the final drop at Hulk Falls. Big jump into the eddy, carrying great speed, which is going to help her on the cross. Sticks the upstream on the other side, out in one stroke, paddling very well, knows she's got a good run now. Keeping the boat in the current. Around this green pole, one more upstream to go. The upstreams are the most physical part of the course. Pulls it around, back out into the current, sprinting to the finish. A great result coming up here for Mylene Chirot. Across the finish in first place, that's going to be a gold medal for Mylene and Spain.
En las clasificatorias, bueno, estoy muy contenta por la competición y bueno, las
The race was good
clasificatorias
for
de
me.
primera.
I finished the semifinals in fourth place with a good race, but some mistakes. So I've done my best for the finals, and I did a better time, and I am very happy for that.
He conseguido mejorar y ser más rápida y lo he dado lo mejor de mí y estoy muy contenta por ello.
And so it's Spain's Chirot taking the gold, Slovakia's Koliska the silver, and Great Britain's Penny the bronze. The Parc del Segre was as challenging as ever, but the world's best canoeists and kayakers rose to the top. The end of the World Cup journey is in sight, but the finish positions are up for grabs. Join us next time for Whitewater Slalom World Cup Racing.